And that is incredible. I'm just going to yank my microphone. I like that. Here's my strength. That is incredibly important. Make sure that our monies that need to go to people who need help and are addicted in the middle of a health crisis, that the monies are going to them and not to fraud. So I appreciate that topic being brought up, and I appreciate your commitment to looking into that. So important. Appreciate Mr. Walk, Mr. Bell, you being here today. I see that you've brought your family members. Thank you for being here to support them. These hearings are sometimes tough, and it's nice to know they have loved ones at their back. So thank you for being here and supporting them in their public service. So important. I want to address my questions specifically to Mr. Bell. I have had some personal connection to many of the issues that you will be involved in once you are confirmed. The position that you have, well, that both of you are undertaking, the position of IG is perhaps one of the most important roles in an agency. The trust the American people put in you to remain impartial, independent, apolitical over an organization's staff, it's an awesome responsibility. And I believe that you have the influence, the ability, and certainly the opportunity to restore trust in our government. And that is so important right now. So I think these positions are some of the most important nominations right now in our history. So thank you for being here today. One of the things that I am particularly concerned with is what has happened to unaccompanied alien children during the last administration. And as you know, you may have read, I was very involved in taking the last administration to task. I thought in many ways they were not only facilitating, but acting as intermediaries of trafficking organizations, putting the American government in that position when these children were smuggled over the border. And at the end of the day, however they got here, whatever means that they were smuggled across the border, they're children. And the last administration, the Biden administration, put them with sponsors, dozens of children with the same sponsors, dumped them into unspeakable situations. In our investigation, we did a grand jury investigation in Florida. They lost track of tens of thousands of children. They were placed in situations that the grand jury said it was unspeakable. Some were sent to strip clubs, dropped off in vacant lots. They were subject to abuse, put with people they didn't even know. I could go on in terms of the findings of a grand jury, and just for the American public to understand, a grand jury is not a partisan organization. It's made up of people that are brought in from the community of all political affiliations, all walks of life. And that is what they found, that the Biden administration had put children into these situations, and they were just subjected to horrific abuse. So as Florida's Attorney General, I fought constantly in court to stop not only the intentional destruction of our border, but what was happening to our kids as a result. And I know, Mr. Bell, you have a history. You worked at DOJ and the Human Trafficking Bureau as chief counsel for the Select Panel on Infant Lives. Certainly, I know that you value life. I introduced Senate Bill 1997, the Stop Gaps Act, which would require the Office of Refugee Resettlement, OOR, and HHS to work with states with placing children with sponsors, because one of the things that we found was that they were not even telling our Department of Children and Families when they were bringing these kids in and dumping them off into these situations. They were clandestine flights in the middle of the night. They wouldn't give us information. Even when we tried to subpoena them for information, they refused. They wouldn't let their people talk to us. I mean, think about that. Think about that. It was almost as though they were hiding what they were trying to do. And so I want to make sure not only do we address the fact that they lost track of tens of thousands of children that were placed in dangerous situation, I hope we can figure out a way to make sure this never happens again. And if it does start happening, that there's someone that's watching for that and can make sure that we're shoring up any safeguards that we have. A former HHS official said that they looked into this, and that person said they not only verified but corroborated what was going on in Florida, and they found even more evidence of fraud with placement and sponsorships of unaccompanied minor children, and they never did anything about it, even after they had the information. So it's my hope that we get someone in there that understands how important it is for oversight, and regardless of who's in the White House will hold, if a president does something like that again and causes harm to our children, that someone will step in and end it, and it doesn't take a state AG to be fighting a battle from one of our states. And so, Mr. Bell, I know you may not have been briefed on all of the circumstances of the case, but do I have your commitment to review this?
Thank you, Senator. Not only do you have my commitment, but I've been in all of those ORR facilities when I was a DOJ lawyer in charge of the trafficking program. I've interviewed 250 trafficking victims. I think somebody made a decision somewhere, and that decision let that child go to the wrong place. So I believe what an AG would do is find out who was in charge of that person, how that decision was made, and take the types of steps so this never happens again.
And I have your commitment to review that process and make sure that you are holding the agency accountable to its responsibilities under the law.
Yes, you do.
Thank you so much.
Senator Peters.